If you've clicked on this video, I want to say thank you for tuning in. And before we get started, I'd like to mention I am in no way, shape, form, or fashion going to slander, belittle, or bash anyone in this video. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I will only give my non-biased opinion from a viewer's perspective while respecting the families and the privacy aside from the show. Welcome back, everybody. So we're just going to jump right in, picking up where we left off in part 1 of the reunion. When Andy asked if Anila thought Toya had anything to do with the robbery, she said no, of course, because like, what? She then goes on to say since the second robbery, she doesn't sleep well at night. Like I said before, this was definitely someone that knew the Sajas, because lightning doesn't strike twice, y'all, especially in the neighborhood they live in. It's gated and under surveillance. How haven't they figured anything out yet? Come on. At this point, she needs 2 big old dogs. Then she needs to get on the phone with ADT, and she needs to go to the store and get her a And for added measure, with all the money that they have, I would advise that they would hire a house sitter to stay at the house when they go out and do whatever it is they got to do, since it only happens when they're not at home. And I mean, that seems like a lot, but at least until a sense of normalcy has returned, because they're traumatized at this point. But that's just me. It could happen to anyone, yes, but twice the exact same way? No. Something's up. Put me on the case. I have it solved in a week. Anyway, the subject changes to the discussions of being a black physician in America and its benefits. And the thing that stood out to me, without being too political, because this part of the episode does go there a little, with discussions of Roe versus Wade, but Dr. Simone said that there's a higher rate of mortality for black women in childbirth, as well as a higher death rate by 2% for black babies if they aren't seen by a black physician. And I didn't know that. She said it was because of cultural incompetence, cultural bias, subliminal racism, and people simply just not hearing black patients, which is not shocking to me. A lot of physicians are so passive, and I end up leaving the doctor's office feeling worse than when I came. Like this one time, I was having really bad stomach pains, right? I went to the OBGYN and she offered me opioids. Opioids, y'all, one of the leading causes of death in America. I said no, of course, and I basically told homegirl, no, do your job and find out what's wrong with me. Don't just pacify me. Turns out I had endometriosis and still do. But because I spoke up for myself, I found it out, and I wouldn't have if I didn't. The fact that it even took me a lot to even go to the doctor that day. I was thinking about costs and everything else, and when I finally did, she offered me opioids. I just still can't get over that, as y'all can tell. But because of that, I am more vocal now for me and my family. And we have actually given more thought to changing physicians. But anyway, they moved on to talking about Audra, which is exactly what I said in my previous video. She was probably preparing for her new baby, which that's what it is. She's preparing for her little almond joy. Get it? Because her baby shower was chocolate themed. Never mind. Okay. Next up, they were talking about Toya's relationship issues and affair speculations. Flashback to the building of Toya's dream home. Andy expresses how excited he was about the completion of Toya's new home, as we all were. And he recounts the last season's reunion, where the whole theme was based off a replica of Toya's 2-story closet. She responds with how much the neighborhood was prospering, basically to say that her and Eugene thought the smart thing to do in that moment was to capitalize off the equity they had accrued in that short amount of time. And that's me paraphrasing, y'all, so don't quote me on that, but it's smart nonetheless. As a homeowner, you're automatically an investor, meaning you put your money in hopes of a hefty return, which is what we did. Buying our house last year in 2021, fast forward a year later, 2022, our house in this current market, we've already gained $100,000 in equity. That's ours when we walk away. That usually takes people years to get, and being unsure with what will happen next is a gamble. You have to jump in where you see fit, and that's more than likely what Toya and Eugene probably did. They seen that profit and decided to cash in, not knowing what the market would do tomorrow. Well, anywho, Toya brought the receipts for that too, mirroring what Quad and Anila did with the polygraph results. She took another lesson from OG Mariah's book and produced evidence that showed her bill of sale that showed she made close to $1 million off the sale of her home. Moved by her tears, others respond, one being Jackie. One thing that was brought up that I don't necessarily agree with was that Jackie, out of all the people on the stage, didn't called to check on Toya when she was going through what she was going through, which was brought up because Jackie expressed that Toya doesn't listen or take advice well, which she doesn't because she's built a protective layer against everyone. But it was that Jackie should have reached out to her to check on her marriage. There was no way Jackie could have known any of that happening with Toya. But if this was a real friend group, they'd all be checking on each other. But they don't, because they're not a real friend group, that is. They then go on to talk about the rumors of Toya at Quad's holiday party. Turning to Quad, Andy wants to know where she heard that from. She expresses that Heavenly told her, who heard it from Simone, that yes, Toya is cheating, but they just had the wrong man, in which Simone denies. But Quad then continues by saying that the whole rumor originated at Anila's house with a group of people from that neighborhood, included Zaina. She said that after that party, that's when Anila calls Quad on the phone to tell her about it. And just like that, it all shifts to Anila. Of course, she denies it, and now Anila and Quad are going back and forth. Also, if y'all paid attention, notice how everyone that's beefing is sitting on opposite sides of one another. Heavenly is on one couch that's beefing with Contessa, then Toya on one couch who's beefing with Anila and Quad. Then there's Jackie and Simone. Simone's on the side with Toya and Tessa since she's been more partial to them throughout the season, and Jackie right next to Heavenly because that's who she's been partial to. If Audra were there, which couch do y'all think she would be sitting on? Comment down below. So now Anila's in the weird crossfire sitting right next to Quad, and it gets weirder when Quad eventually apologizes and admits that she fueled and took delight in the rumors out of retaliation for the rumors against her and her contractor. So now Anila's in the hot seat by herself with Toya, and they're going back and forth. And I don't know what it is about Anila and Karen with the way they apologize, but they're absolutely horrible at it, with no sincerity or remorse, just defensiveness and justification. Just awful. They did take a lunch break where Quad and Anila discussed it in their makeup trailer that they shared, and I don't know, y'all, I believe Quad, but I could be off about it. Do me a favor, comment down below on this too, on whether or not y'all think Quad is telling the truth or Anila. But anyway, next up is the moment we've hesitated, which is the conversation between Heavenly and Contessa. And we dreaded it because we know this has been an ongoing beef throughout the whole season. But before they do dive in, Andy asks a series of questions, one of which is, who in here doubts that Heavenly and Damon have sex every day? At which everyone raises their hands, and Heavenly even raises 2 hands. I just thought it was funny because when you're married and you live together, you have the D on command. You know, you can handle your business and come back and it'll still be there, versus living the single or dating life. When they hit you with that late night text, you jump on it because you don't know if he's going to be busy the next day or when the next opportunity will present itself. My husband says women do all the freaky stuff in the beginning of relationships to trap men, and then when they get them, they get comfortable. Is he right? Y'all let me know. But anyway, Heavenly and Contessa starts going back and forth, playing the blame game. Really nothing we haven't heard before. Contessa is basically denying telling Heavenly deep stuff about her and Scott, which we know isn't true, and Heavenly still seeing nothing wrong with taking a vulnerable and confidential moment between you and your close friend to social media. At this point, I really don't think there's anything they can say that will change the way Heavenly processes and operates. Every single season, as they've stated, it's the same thing. She acts crazy and needs an intervention. Now at this point, I'm convinced she's either getting paid the most or extra for these antics, or she's genuinely like this, which is worse. But I would like to take this moment to commend how poised Contessa stayed during this whole ordeal. I mean, Heavenly was really throwing around insults and name calling Contessa, and she really was just like, she better be glad security is in here. I mean, y'all, if y'all watched it, y'all seen her not even raise her voice. And honestly, let's be clear, in a fight between the two, I'm pretty sure we know who will win. Contessa is literally a trained soldier, but I don't know. Another thing to notice is in all of the history of this show, they've never actually let any of the doctors come to blows. And I think it's that way for a reason. It just wouldn't be good for business. The show, after all, is temporary, but their jobs and professions are their bread and butter. And just like that, minus Anila making up with Quad by kissing her on her lips, I mean, like, she did it in a way like she's been waiting to do that for a while. I could tell. But minus that, they moved to the men. And for some reason, whatever is going on with the men is never really as juicy as the women's ordeals. But this season is a little bit different. And it's because of Karen. He broke one of the men's group's only rule, which is don't get into the women's drama. Andy brought it up, of course, but you can tell Eugene is over it. His responses are just like blah. And to this day, Karen is still thinking it's funny, which it wasn't. I've said time and time again, what him and Anila did at that Halloween party was tacky, 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 and cringy, cringy, cringy. But that's pretty much where they left off, and I guess I will follow suit. We have one more part next week, and then that's it. Are you guys looking forward to it? You think any of the confrontations will meet a resolve? Do y'all think I'll get a higher subscriber count? I mean, because if so, y'all can just comment down below, let me know, and then subscribe. The buttons aren't that far apart, so it should be easy. And I do create other content outside of Married to Medicine life, so I hope to see you all in the next video. Until next time, bye.